Kunan activates his magic eye, scanning the other applicants around him. Through it, he notices that each of them carries unusual hidden traits. Still, one girl immediately catches his attention. Curious, he approaches and asks if she happens to be the saint from the Holy Kingdom. She confirms it, though she's puzzled about how he knows who she is, since they've never spoken before. Kunan explains that he's simply fascinated. She's the first light element mage he has ever seen in person, and he wants to understand more about her magic. However, the saint doesn't seem interested in entertaining his curiosity. She firmly believes light magic stands above every other element, implying that as a water mage, Kunan wouldn't gain anything from her teachings. Her statement leaves the others confused. There's no official ranking system among magical elements, so her claim sounds strange. Realizing she may have misspoken, the saint quickly apologizes, admitting she was only repeating what she had always been taught at the temple. While she has everyone's attention, she offers another apology in advance. She explains that she's often told she lacks the emotional range of a normal person. So even if she speaks plainly, she might accidentally offend others without meaning to. The reason, she says, is due to the hero's scar she inherited, which affects her emotional expression. Hearing this, Kunan suddenly lights up with excitement. If that's the case, maybe the two of them could relate on a deeper level. Before things can get any more awkward, the professor overseeing the entrance exam arrives and calls everyone to attention. Kunan immediately analyzes Professor Soff and can tell at a glance that the man is incredibly powerful. Safi, who stands beside him, also seems strong, although her visible trait is somewhat odd as several rats gather around her feet. After brief introductions, Soff and Safi surprise the four applicants by congratulating them on their acceptance into Durashik Magic School. The students are stunned. They haven't even taken the exam yet. Soff explains that admission is almost guaranteed for anyone who is already a sorcerer. The saint finds this surprising, since she had heard the entrance exam was extremely difficult. Soff casually admits that the rumor exists mainly to make the academy appear more prestigious. Besides, all four of them possess rare magic crests, making their acceptance practically certain. Kunan feels slightly disappointed after hearing this. He worked incredibly hard to prepare for the test. However, Soff reassures him that there will still be an assessment, so his efforts weren't wasted. He then explains the Academy's 3 academic tracks. The first level, Fundamentals, is for beginners who are still learning the basics of magic. The second level, Teacher Assisted, offers structured instructions similar to traditional classes. The final level, Independent Research, is reserved for highly advanced mages who are free to pursue their own magical studies, as long as they don't break any laws. The idea of independent research excites Kunan the most. The freedom to explore magic on his own sounds incredible. But Soff warns him that this advanced path is reserved for elite mages, and both entry and graduation are extremely challenging. Eager to prove himself, Kunan can't wait to see what kind of evaluation awaits them. Strangely, his enthusiasm seems to irritate Safi. The first stage of the assessment is practical. Soff asks each candidate to step forward and announce their crest type, its rank, and how many spells they can use. Hank goes first. He reveals that he possesses a 2-star fire crest and can cast 7 spells. When asked to demonstrate his strongest technique, he unleashes a spell called Fire Path. Kunan watches closely, impressed. While the spell itself is simple, its unique property allows the flames to follow a route that Hank traces using his magical energy. By the time Hank finishes, a spiral pattern of scorched grass marks the ground. Soff nods in approval and commends his performance. Next up is a boy named Rhea, who steps forward and announces that he has a 2-star wind crest. Rhea adds that he's capable of casting 8 different spells in total. Soff raises a brow, clearly impressed. As a fellow wind mage, he's secretly rooting for Rhea, but favoritism won't affect the evaluation. What truly matters is how skillfully he controls his magic. Before demonstrating his strongest spell, Rhea warns everyone to move back. Once the area is clear, he lifts his wand toward the sky, drawing in a massive amount of magical energy. In the next instant, he unleashes a powerful blast of wind straight into the ground. The technique is classified as intermediate magic. By pulling energy from the sky itself, Rhea creates a devastating gust, strong enough to shake the field. Kunan watches in awe. The scale and control behind the spell are undeniably impressive. Next, Reyes steps forward. She calmly announces that she possesses a 3-star light crest and can use up to 5 spells. Her strongest ability is healing magic, but since no one is injured, she decides to demonstrate her second most powerful technique instead, an offensive beam of concentrated light. The moment she fires it, Kunan is stunned. A light-based attack moves so fast that dodging it is nearly impossible unless you anticipate it before she even begins casting. He can't help but wonder what other abilities her light magic might hide. Then it's finally his turn. Kunan steps forward and introduces himself as a 2-star water crest user. However, he admits he can only cast 2 spells, Water Ball and Bubble. Safi looks genuinely surprised. She had been instructed to make his test especially difficult. Confused, Kunan asks what she means. Soff explains that he received not 1, but 2 recommendation letters for Kunan. One came from the Grand Mage of Hulia, the other from Xion. That name instantly grabs everyone's attention. The other students had no idea Kunan was connected to someone so famous. Kunan, on the other hand, is surprised that they all recognize Xion so easily. Safi informs him that in the academic magic world, Xion's name is widely known. As it turns out, Safi and Xion share a complicated past, which explains her cold attitude toward Kunan, Xion's student. Since Xion specifically requested that Kunan's entrance test be more challenging, Kunan shrugs and says he has no problem with that. Soff begins the exam by surrounding himself with a powerful wind barrier. He tells Kunan that his objective is simple: defeat him while the barrier is active. The other students immediately think this is impossible. Breaking through that defense should be out of the question. But instead of looking worried, Kunan seems disappointed. He honestly expected something harder. Soff finds his confidence amusing and tells him to finish the test before complaining. Unless, of course, he's just bluffing. Kunan refuses to lose composure, especially in front of Reyes. He still wants to make a good impression. Accepting the challenge, he begins by summoning dozens of small bubbles surrounding Soff from every angle. Soff admits he's impressed by the sheer number, but he remains unconvinced. Ordinary bubbles won't penetrate his wind barrier. He multiplies the bubbles even further, turning them red and setting them into rapid rotation around the barrier. The swirling vortex grows denser by the second. Now, if Soff drops his windshield, he risks being overwhelmed and swept away by the rotating storm of compressed bubbles. Even so, he believes it still isn't enough to claim victory. He challenges Kunan to push further. Kunan casually forms a chair out of water and sits down. Calmly, he informs Soff that the battle is essentially over. He can maintain this bubble vortex for 2 full days if necessary. There's no time limit to the test, so he's perfectly content to wait. Meanwhile, sustaining a wind barrier of that magnitude must be draining Soff's mana at an alarming rate. Kunan estimates that, at best, Soff can maintain the barrier for half a day before exhaustion sets in. And with that quiet confidence, he shifts the battle from power to endurance. As much as Soff dislikes admitting it, Kunan clearly outplayed him. With no other option, he concedes defeat. Kunan calmly dispels the swirling bubble vortex, bringing the test to an end. The moment it's over, Kunan turns right back to Reyes and resumes asking her to demonstrate more of her light magic. Since the practical portion of the exam is finished, Soff gathers the students and moves them into a classroom for the next phase. Meanwhile, Kunan continues pestering Reyes, even going as far as inviting her out for parfait in hopes of convincing her. Soff steps in and tells Kunan to cut it out. The next stage of the exam is about to begin, and it's important not to disturb Reyes before her interview. Kunan backs off, saying he understands. Safi then calls Hank in as the first student to be interviewed. While Hank is inside, Kunan grows curious and asks Soff what the interviews are about. Soff simply shrugs. The discussion varies depending on the candidate, so there's no fixed topic. Kunan will just have to experience it for himself. While waiting, Kunan shifts the conversation and begins asking Soff questions about wind magic. Soff doesn't mind and answers him openly. After the other students finish their interviews, Soff asks Kunan something interesting. What would he have done earlier if the battle had included a time limit? Kunan explains that if he couldn't rely on endurance, he would have tried something riskier. His plan was to merge his bubbles with Soff's wind barrier from the inside and seize control of it. Soff is skeptical. He's never heard of such a technique. Is that even possible? Kunan admits he's never tested it before. Still, instinct tells him it should work. Taking control of a spell from within seems far more logical than trying to overpower it from the outside. In his view, water magic is the most adaptable element because it can seep through nearly anything. That said, he won't claim it's the strongest, not until he fully understands how to maximize its potential. Soon, it's Kunan's turn for the interview. Safi arrives to escort him. However, when they reach the door, Kunan hesitates. His magical senses can't perceive anything beyond it. He asks Safi to describe what's inside. She suddenly remembers that Kunan is blind and apologizes for forgetting. She explains that the room appears almost like nighttime, dark and hard to see through. She offers to guide him inside, but Kunan declines. He assures her he can manage on his own and steps forward. For the first time in a long while, Kunan is truly blind. Even his magic eye cannot pierce the darkness. Then suddenly, his magic eye is forcefully dispelled. When his awareness returns, he senses 7 figures surrounding him. One of them approaches while speaking calmly. She reveals that she was once Xion's master. Before she can step any closer, Kunan quickly stops her. He politely asks her to keep her distance, explaining that he has a fiancée and doesn't wish to stand too close to another woman. The figure pauses, confused. She was told that Kunan had been flirting with Reyes earlier. Kunan denies it immediately. That wasn't flirting. He was simply interested in studying her magic. Completely different. Deciding not to argue, the woman changes the subject. She asks him whether he learned anything new today. Kunan eagerly begins describing the incredible magic he witnessed from his fellow applicants. He talks about wind manipulation, light attacks, and unique spell applications. He's already thinking about how to analyze and adapt those ideas into his own techniques once he returns home. The woman seems pleased with his response. Based on his performance and mindset, she informs him that he will be placed in the advanced class. Kunan can barely contain his excitement. She adds that if he continues to excel, she may even consider taking him on as her personal disciple. But before she can finish the offer, Kunan casually walks out of the room, completely uninterested in staying any longer. Being ignored like that stings a little. Still, she can't deny it. Kunan is extraordinary. When he first entered the room, he attempted to activate a spell she had never encountered before. Even though it was incomplete, the concept alone intrigued her. And now she finds herself genuinely excited to see just how far Kunan's potential can go.